The Stanley Hotel, located in Estes Park, Colorado, has a fascinating history that begins even before its construction in 1909. Before European settlers arrived, the land where the Stanley Hotel now stands was inhabited by Native American tribes, particularly the Ute and Arapaho peoples. They used the area for hunting and as a seasonal residence. In the mid-19th century, European settlers began moving into the area. Joel Estes, a Kentuckian, and his family were among the first to settle in the valley in 1859. The valley later took on his name, becoming known as Estes Park. By the late 19th century, the area had seen various homesteaders and settlers, but it remained relatively undeveloped. The scenic beauty of Estes Park began attracting more people, including prominent figures looking for investment opportunities or health retreats. In 1903, Freeland Oscar Stanley, co-inventor of the Stanley steamer automobile, arrived in Estes Park. Stanley was suffering from tuberculosis, and his doctor recommended fresh mountain air as part of his treatment. Impressed by the area's beauty and invigorated by its climate, Stanley decided to build a grand hotel. Stanley purchased 160 acres of land from a local homesteader named Lord Dunraven. Lord Dunraven had acquired vast tracts of land in the Estes Park area in the late 1800s with the intent of creating a private hunting preserve. His methods and intentions were controversial and met with resistance from locals. Stanley and his wife Flora envisioned a luxury resort that would cater to wealthy urbanites seeking a summer retreat. Construction of the hotel began in 1907 and it officially opened in 1909. The Stanley Hotel was built in the Georgian architectural style and featured modern amenities for its time, including electricity, telephones, and ensuite bathrooms. The Stanley Hotel quickly gained a reputation as a luxurious destination, attracting guests from all over the country. The hotel's grandeur and its stunning location in the Rocky Mountains made it a popular summer getaway for the elite. Stanley's contributions to the area extended beyond the hotel. He played a significant role in developing the town of Estes Park, including building roads and improving infrastructure. He also established the Estes Park Bank and contributed to the establishment of Rocky Mountain National Park in 1915. Over the decades, the hotel experienced periods of decline and revival. It changed ownership several times and underwent numerous renovations to preserve its historic charm and modernize its facilities. But we're here to talk about the dark side. On the night of June 25, 1911, a powerful storm caused a power outage at the Stanley Hotel. As a result, the hotel staff began using gas lamps to provide lighting. In room 217, a gas lamp had been left on without being lit, causing gas to accumulate in the room. Elizabeth Wilson, a senior chambermaid, entered room 217 to light the gas lamps. Unbeknownst to her, the room was filled with gas. When she struck a match, the gas ignited, causing a massive explosion that blew out the floor beneath her and caused significant damage to the second floor of the hotel. Elizabeth Wilson fell from the second floor to the first, but miraculously survived the explosion. She sustained severe injuries, including broken ankles. F.O. Stanley took responsibility for Elizabeth Wilson's care following the accident. After the gas explosion, Stanley ensured that she received proper medical attention. He paid for her medical bills and supported her recovery. She recovered and eventually returned to work at the Stanley Hotel. Her dedication to the hotel and its guests remained unwavering until her retirement. This act of responsibility and care for his employees further cemented F.O. Stanley's reputation as a compassionate and dedicated employer. His actions during this tragic incident reflect his commitment not only to the hotel's success, but also to the well-being of those who worked there. Following her death, Elizabeth Wilson's spirit is said to have lingered at the Stanley Hotel, particularly in room 217, where the explosion occurred. Guests and staff have reported various paranormal activities attributed to her presence. Some guests have felt sudden cold spots in room 217, particularly around the bed. Personal belongings left in the room are sometimes moved or unpacked without explanation. Several guests have claimed to see an apparition of a woman in old-fashioned clothing, believed to be Elizabeth Wilson, walking through the room or performing housekeeping duties. Some female guests have reported feeling a gentle, comforting touch while staying in the room, as if Elizabeth is still looking after the hotel's guests. Elizabeth Wilson is often associated with the ghostly activity that involves unmarried couples in room 217. According to reports, her spirit is particularly known for her disapproval of unmarried couples sharing a bed because she was very religious. Guests have experienced various disturbances attributed to her. Unmarried couples staying in room 217 have reported feeling an invisible force pushing them apart in bed. Some have even found themselves mysteriously moved to separate sides of the bed during the night. Elizabeth Wilson was known for her dedication to her housekeeping duties, and her ghost is said to continue this work. Guests have reported finding their clothes neatly folded and their belongings tidied up when they return to the room. While her actions may seem disapproving, many guests describe her presence as gentle and non-threatening. She is often perceived as continuing to care for the room and its occupants much as she did in life. The Stanley Concert Hall was built in 1909, the same year the hotel opened. F.O. Stanley constructed the concert hall as part of his vision to create a luxurious and culturally enriching retreat for his guests. The hall was designed to host concerts, performances, and social gatherings, providing entertainment for the hotel's affluent clientele. The concert hall is a two-story structure with a balcony, a stage, dressing rooms, and a billiard room in the basement. It boasts impressive acoustics and elegant architectural details that reflect the early 20th century grandeur. Over the years, the concert hall has undergone several renovations to preserve its historic charm and update its facilities. Despite these changes, it has retained much of its original character. The concert hall is reputed to be one of the most haunted locations at the Stanley Hotel, with several well-known spirits said to inhabit the space. According to local lore, a young girl named Lucy, who either ran away or was homeless, found refuge in the basement of the concert hall. She was discovered and subsequently evicted, and it's said she died in the harsh conditions outside. Lucy's spirit is known for interacting with paranormal investigators and guests. She's often described as a friendly presence who enjoys music and lights. Guests have reported seeing her apparition, feeling sudden cold spots, and witnessing lights turning on and off. She also seems to enjoy communicating through flashlights and other devices during ghost tours. Guests and staff have frequently reported hearing phantom piano music, disembodied voices, and the sound of applause coming from the concert hall when it is empty. These sounds are believed to be residual energy from past performances, echoing the hall's vibrant history. The Stanley Hotel offers regular ghost tours that include the concert hall as a key stop. These tours explore the building's haunted history and allow guests to experience its paranormal activity firsthand. The concert hall has been the subject of numerous paranormal investigations by professionals and enthusiasts. Many have captured compelling evidence, including EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, unexplained photographs, and personal experiences. The combination of rich history and abundant paranormal activity makes the Stanley Hotel Concert Hall a fascinating destination for those interested in the supernatural. Its haunted reputation continues to attract visitors from around the world, eager to experience the mysterious and eerie ambiance of this historic venue. The haunted mirror is situated in the hotel's main lobby near the grand staircase. It is a prominent feature, easily noticed by guests as they enter the hotel. The mirror is large and ornately framed, fitting with the early 20th century decor of the hotel. Its reflective surface is said to hold more than just the images of those who gaze into it. The mirror is an antique, believed to date back to the early days of the hotel. It has been a fixture in the Stanley Hotel for many decades, adding to its historical ambience. The exact origins of how the mirror came to be at the Stanley Hotel are not clear. Some say it was a gift from a wealthy guest, while others believe it was purchased by F.O. Stanley himself to enhance the hotel's luxurious decor. Guests and staff have reported seeing ghostly apparitions reflected in the mirror. These apparitions often appear behind them, only to vanish when they turn around. Some have seen figures dressed in early 20th century clothing, adding to the eerie experience. One of the most frequently reported apparitions is that of Flora Stanley, F.O. Stanley's wife. Flora was known for her elegance and love of the hotel. Her spirit is said to linger in the mirror, watching over the hotel she loved so much. Some guests have captured orbs and strange lights in photographs taken of or near the mirror. These orbs are often interpreted as signs of paranormal energy. Visitors standing near the mirror have reported feeling sudden cold spots, even when the surrounding area is warm. People have reported seeing strange and unexplainable reflections, such as faces appearing next to their own or figures moving in the background that are not present in the room. The haunted mirror is a popular stop on the Stanley Hotel's ghost tours. Guides share the history and stories associated with the mirror, allowing guests to take photos and sometimes even catch a glimpse of the unexplained. Underneath the hotel lies a tunnel. The tunnel beneath was constructed for several practical reasons related to the operation and maintenance of the hotel. The tunnel houses various utility lines, including heating pipes and plumbing. This allowed for easier access to these essential systems for repairs and maintenance without disrupting the daily operations of the hotel. The tunnel also provided a route for electrical wiring and other utilities, ensuring that the hotel's infrastructure could be maintained and updated as needed. The tunnel provided a way for hotel staff to move between different parts of the hotel and outbuildings without being seen by guests. This was particularly useful for maintaining the hotel's image of seamless and unobtrusive service. In a mountainous area like Estes Park, Colorado, the weather can be harsh, especially in winter. The tunnel allowed staff to move between buildings without being exposed to the elements, ensuring that service could continue uninterrupted regardless of weather conditions. The tunnel facilitated the transportation of supplies, laundry, and other materials between the main hotel and its outbuildings. This helped streamline operations and kept the public areas of the hotel free from the site of these activities. It also provided a discreet way to transport food, beverages, and other necessities to different parts of the hotel, supporting the hotel's high standards of guest service. While the tunnel was originally built for practical purposes, it has since gained a reputation for being haunted. Guests and staff have reported seeing the apparition of F.O. Stanley himself in the tunnel. He is often described as a benevolent figure dressed in period clothing, sometimes accompanied by the smell of cigar smoke. Unexplained shadow figures moving through the tunnel have been reported, adding to its eerie reputation. Disembodied voices, footsteps, and the feeling of being watched are common experiences for those who venture into the tunnel. One of the most famous spirits in the tunnel is believed to be a former chef who worked at the Stanley Hotel in its early days. His name has been lost to history, but his presence is still felt by many who visit the tunnel. Visitors have reported smelling delicious cooking aromas, such as baked bread and pastries, emanating from the tunnel, even when no food is being prepared nearby. These phantom smells are attributed to the spirit of the chef, who was known for his culinary skills. The apparition of a man in a chef's uniform has been seen in the tunnel. Additionally, some people have heard the sounds of kitchen activity, such as clanging pots and pans, echoing through the tunnel. The chef's spirit is generally considered to be friendly. Guests and staff have reported feeling a warm presence and sometimes hearing a cheerful whistle or hum, reminiscent of someone enjoying their work. The identity of the ghostly figure seen on the grand staircase is not definitively known. However, there are numerous reports of different apparitions, suggesting that this area may be a focal point for various spirits rather than a single identifiable ghost. Both F.O. Stanley and his wife Flora are among the spirits reported to have been seen near the grand staircase. F.O. Stanley is often seen in his distinctive early 20th century attire, while Flora is sometimes heard playing the piano or seen descending the stairs. The grand staircase is often described as a vortex, a sort of concentrated area of paranormal energy. This theory suggests that the staircase acts as a passageway for spirits, allowing them to move between the physical world and the afterlife. This concentration of energy is believed to make it easier for spirits to manifest. The staircase itself is an architectural marvel designed to be a grand and impressive feature of the hotel. It is a popular spot for photographs due to its beauty and the large portrait of F.O. Stanley that hangs nearby. Numerous guests and staff have reported seeing ghostly figures on or near the grand staircase. These figures are often described as being dressed in period clothing, consistent with the early 20th century era when the hotel was built. Several photographs taken by visitors have purportedly captured ghostly apparitions on the staircase. These images sometimes show misty shapes or translucent figures that were not visible at the time the photo was taken. Many people report feeling sudden drops in temperature while standing on the staircase, which are often attributed to the presence of spirits. Orbs of light and unexplained flashes have been seen and photographed around the staircase. These phenomena are often interpreted as signs of paranormal activity. Some visitors have reported feeling a sense of being watched or followed while on the staircase. Others have heard footsteps, whispers, or even music despite no one else being present. The grand staircase is a central feature on the Stanley Hotel's ghost tours. Guides share stories of the paranormal experiences reported by guests and staff, and many tour participants hope to capture their own evidence of the supernatural. Stories from guests who have stayed at the Stanley Hotel often include encounters on or near the grand staircase. These personal accounts add to the rich tapestry of ghostly lore associated with the hotel. The grand staircase of the Stanley Hotel, known as the Vortex, and is a hotbed of paranormal activity. While the exact identity of the ghost or ghosts seen on the staircase remains a mystery, the numerous reports of apparitions, cold spots, orbs, and other unexplained phenomena make it one of the most intriguing and haunted areas of the hotel. Paul was a longtime employee at the Stanley Hotel, known for his hard work and dedication. He served as a handyman and general maintenance worker, handling a variety of tasks around the property. Paul was also responsible for enforcing curfew, ensuring that guests adhered to the hotel's rules. One of Paul's main duties was to enforce the 11 p.m. curfew, a task he took seriously. He would patrol the hotel, reminding guests that it was time to retire to their rooms. His commitment to this duty was well known among the staff and guests. After Paul passed away, his spirit is said to have remained at the Stanley Hotel, continuing his role as the curfew enforcer. Guests and staff have reported hearing a stern male voice saying, "Get out," late at night, usually around the time of the old curfew. This voice is believed to be Paul's, still trying to keep order in the hotel even in the afterlife. Paul's ghost is most frequently encountered in the concert hall, where he is said to patrol even after death. However, his presence has also been felt in other parts of the hotel. In addition to the disembodied voice, people have reported feeling an unseen presence, experiencing cold spots, and even witnessing the apparition of a man believed to be Paul. His presence is described as authoritative but not malevolent, consistent with his role in life. The ghost cat at the Stanley Hotel is a lesser-known but intriguing part of the hotel's paranormal history. The cat is believed to have been a stray that lived on or around the property, possibly taken in by the hotel staff. Over time, the cat became a familiar sight to both guests and workers. The circumstances of the cat's death are unclear, but it is said that after its passing, the spirit of the cat began to appear around the hotel, particularly in the basement and the tunnels beneath the building. Guests and staff have reported seeing a cat-like figure darting around corners, only to vanish when approached. The cat's apparition is often described as a shadowy or semi-transparent figure. Some people have reported feeling the sensation of a cat brushing against their legs or hearing the sound of purring when no cat is present. These experiences are often attributed to the ghost cat. Like many other ghostly presences at the Stanley Hotel, the ghost cat is associated with cold spots. These sudden drops in temperature are sometimes felt near the floor, as though the cat's spirit is passing by. The ghost cat is most commonly reported in the basement and the tunnels beneath the hotel. These areas are already known for other paranormal activity, and the cat's presence adds to the eerie atmosphere. Although less common, there have been reports of the ghost cat appearing in guest rooms, particularly those with pets or guests who are fond of animals. It is believed that the cat's spirit may be drawn to those who have a connection with animals. The Stanley Hotel's paranormal lore is enriched by the stories of Paul and the ghost cat. Paul's ghost, still enforcing curfew and maintaining order, reflects his dedication to his job even after death. Meanwhile, the ghost cat adds a touch of the mysterious and playful, making its presence known in subtle ways. The identity of the ghostly bartender at the Stanley Hotel is not definitively known. Some speculate that he could be a former employee who worked at the bar in the early 20th century, while others believe he might be the spirit of a guest who spent a lot of time at the bar and developed a fondness for the place. The ghostly bartender at the Stanley Hotel is often compared to Lloyd, the bartender from Stephen King's novel The Shining and its subsequent film adaptations. Although the bartender at the Stanley is not directly named Lloyd, the comparison is made because of the eerie similarities between the ghostly bartender's presence and the character in King's story. Guests and staff have reported seeing a spectral figure behind the bar, dressed in old-fashioned bartender attire. This figure is often seen polishing glasses, preparing drinks, or simply standing behind the bar as if waiting to serve a customer. These sightings are usually brief, with the apparition disappearing suddenly. People have reported hearing the sound of a man's voice in the bar area, even when no one else is around. This voice is sometimes heard offering a friendly greeting or asking if someone would like a drink, much like a living bartender would. Some visitors have experienced the distinct smell of whiskey or other spirits in the bar, even when no drinks have been served recently. This phenomenon is often attributed to the ghostly bartender, who seems to continue his duties in the afterlife. Glasses and bottles have been known to move on their own, with some guests and staff reporting that they have seen items sliding across the bar as if pushed by an unseen hand. There have also been reports of drinks being poured or prepared seemingly by themselves, with no one physically present to do so. The Whiskey Bar, located in the McGregor Ballroom, has been a part of the Stanley Hotel's history since its early days. The bar has always been a popular spot for guests to relax and enjoy a drink, and it is steeped in the hotel's old-world charm. The bar's connection to The Shining has made it a popular attraction for fans of Stephen King's work. Many visitors come to the Stanley Hotel specifically to experience the atmosphere that inspired the Overlook Hotel in King's novel, and the ghostly bartender adds to this allure. The exact identities of the ghost children at the Stanley Hotel remain a mystery. There are no specific records of children who may have died at the hotel, which leads to speculation that these spirits could be former guests or even children who lived in the area long ago. Some believe they could be the spirits of children who accompanied their parents to the hotel during its early years. During the early 20th century, the Stanley Hotel catered to wealthy families who often brought their children along for summer vacations. The hotel was known for its luxurious accommodations, and it is possible that these ghostly children are connected to that era. The fourth floor of the Stanley Hotel is notorious for paranormal activity, and this is where most of the sightings and experiences involving ghost children occur. In the early days of the hotel, the fourth floor served as the servants' quarters and also housed children and their nannies. The activity here may be tied to this history. The ghost children are often seen or heard in the hallways, especially near rooms 401, 407, and 418. Guests staying in these rooms have reported hearing children running and laughing in the hallway late at night, only to find no one there when they investigate. Guests and staff frequently report hearing the sound of children laughing, playing, or running down the hallways. These sounds are usually heard late at night or early in the morning, and often when no children are staying at the hotel. Some guests have reported seeing the apparitions of young children, often dressed in old-fashioned clothing. These apparitions typically appear briefly before disappearing. The children are usually described as friendly and playful, though their sudden appearances can be startling. The ghost children are known to interact with guests in subtle ways. Objects like toys or candy left out in rooms have been moved or arranged differently. Some guests have reported feeling a tug on their clothing, as if a child is trying to get their attention. Room 418 is particularly known for its ghostly child activity. Guests have reported hearing children giggling and playing outside the door. Some have even felt as though they were being watched by an unseen presence while staying in the room. There are stories from the early days of the hotel when children who stayed there would talk about playing with other children that no one else could see. These stories, passed down over the years, contribute to the belief that the hotel has long been a gathering place for these playful spirits. Hotel staff, particularly those who have worked the night shift, often shared stories of hearing unexplained sounds or seeing fleeting glimpses of children in the corridors. Some even claim to have seen small handprints on dusty surfaces despite having cleaned the area recently. The ghost children of the Stanley Hotel add a playful yet eerie element to the hotel's haunted history. Whether they are spirits of former guests, local children who passed on long ago, or simply manifestations of the hotel's mysterious energy, these young apparitions have left a lasting impression on those who encounter them. Their presence, particularly on the fourth floor, continues to intrigue and sometimes unnerve guests who come to the Stanley Hotel, seeking a brush with the supernatural. The true identity of the ghost cowboy remains a mystery. There are no records that definitively tie him to any specific individual who lived or worked at the Stanley Hotel. Some speculate that he could be a former guest, a rancher or a drifter who may have stayed at the hotel during its early years. The cowboy may be connected to the history of Estes Park and the surrounding area, which was home to ranchers, cowboys, and miners in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The Stanley Hotel, built in 1909, was a luxurious retreat that attracted visitors from various walks of life, including those from the rugged frontier. The most famous encounters with the ghost cowboy have occurred in room 428, located on the 4th floor of the hotel. Guests who have stayed in this room have reported waking up to find a man dressed as a cowboy standing at the foot of their bed. He is usually described as a tall figure wearing a cowboy hat and boots, with a rough, weathered appearance. Despite his somewhat imposing appearance, the ghost cowboy is generally considered to be a friendly and non-threatening spirit. Guests who have encountered him report that he simply stands by the bed, sometimes tipping his hat in a polite gesture before disappearing. There are no reports of him engaging in any harmful or frightening behavior. Interestingly, many of the encounters with the ghost cowboy involve female guests. Some women have reported feeling a gentle touch on their shoulders or arms, as if the cowboy is trying to comfort them. In other instances, guests have heard the sound of spurs jangling as if the cowboy is walking around the room. In addition to the full-bodied apparition, some guests have reported hearing disembodied footsteps, the creaking of floorboards, and the sound of boots moving across the wooden floors of room 428. These sounds often occur late at night or in the early hours of the morning. Some theories suggest that the ghost cowboy may have been a guest or a worker who stayed at the hotel during its early years. He could have been someone who had a deep connection to the area or the hotel itself, leading his spirit to linger there after death. Another theory posits that the ghost cowboy might be a lost soul, possibly a traveler or drifter who met an untimely end in the area and found himself attached to the Stanley Hotel. His presence could be a reflection of his desire to find comfort or solace in the afterlife. The land on which the Stanley Hotel was built has a long history, and some believe that the cowboy's spirit may be connected to the land itself. Before the hotel was constructed, the area was part of the open range, where cowboys and ranchers would pass through or work. The cowboy's spirit might be tied to this history, remaining on the land even after it was transformed into a luxury resort. The ghost cowboy of the Stanley Hotel is one of the more enigmatic spirits said to haunt the historic property. Other than the cowboy, female guests have reported feeling an unseen presence that brushes up against them, kisses them, or even gropes them. These experiences can be unnerving, with some women feeling the need to verbally tell the ghost to stop or state that they are not interested. In some cases, these commands are said to make the spirit back off, while in other instances, the activity persists until the guest leaves the area. Some people believe that the spirit behind these actions could be a former male employee or guest of the hotel who had a reputation for being overly flirtatious or inappropriate during his lifetime. This ghost's behavior seems to reflect the personality he had while alive, continuing his unwanted advances in the afterlife. In the fall of 1974, Stephen King and his wife, Tabitha, were living in Boulder, Colorado, while King was working on a new book. The couple decided to take a break and explore the area, eventually leading them to Estes Park, where they checked into the Stanley Hotel. They arrived just as the hotel was preparing to close for the winter season, which meant they were the only guests staying there that night. The hotel's desolate and eerie atmosphere, combined with its grand, old-fashioned decor, left a strong impression on King. During their stay, the Kings were assigned to room 217, the most famous room in the hotel. That night, King had a vivid and disturbing dream in which his 3-year-old son was running through the corridors of the hotel, screaming with something unseen pursuing him. In the dream, King saw his son being strangled by a fire hose that had come to life. King woke up in a cold sweat, got out of bed, and lit a cigarette. By the time he finished smoking, the basic outline of The Shining had taken shape in his mind. In addition to the unsettling dream, the hotel's eerie atmosphere also contributed to King's experience. The vast emptiness of the hotel, the echoing halls, and the overall sense of isolation were all elements that King would later incorporate into the novel. The staff at the Stanley, who were preparing the hotel for its long winter closure, also influenced his depiction of the Overlook Hotel in the book, particularly the idea of the caretaker being left alone to watch over the hotel during the winter. After his stay at the Stanley Hotel, King returned to Boulder and began writing The Shining. The novel was published in 1977 and quickly became one of King's most popular and critically acclaimed works. The story follows Jack Torrance, an aspiring writer and recovering alcoholic, who takes a job as the winter caretaker of the isolated Overlook Hotel. Jack's son, Danny, possesses psychic abilities, or the Shining, which allow him to see the terrifying events that have occurred in the hotel. As the winter progresses, the hotel's malevolent forces begin to exert their influence on Jack, driving him to madness. The Shining not only cemented King's reputation as a master of horror, but also brought widespread attention to the Stanley Hotel. The hotel, which had been struggling to attract guests before King's visit, became a popular tourist destination for fans of the novel and its 1980 film adaptation directed by Stanley Kubrick. Today, the Stanley Hotel embraces its connection to The Shining, offering ghost tours and even screenings of the movie in its theater. Room 217 remains one of the most requested rooms in the hotel, with many guests hoping to experience some of the same eerie sensations that King did during his fateful stay. Despite the Stanley Hotel being the inspiration for Stephen King's The Shining, the film adaptation directed by Stanley Kubrick in 1980 was not filmed there, and this fact contributed to King's dissatisfaction with the movie. Stanley Kubrick chose to film the exterior shots of the Overlook Hotel at the Timberline Lodge in Oregon, not the Stanley Hotel in Colorado. The Timberline Lodge was selected for its imposing and isolated appearance, which Kubrick felt better suited the visual style and atmosphere he wanted to create for the film. The interior scenes were shot on elaborately constructed sets at Elstree Studios in England, designed to give the Overlook Hotel a grand, labyrinthine quality. Stephen King was famously unhappy with Kubrick's adaptation of The Shining. His dissatisfaction stemmed from several factors, including the changes Kubrick made to the story, the portrayal of the characters, and the decision not to use the Stanley Hotel as the primary filming location. Kubrick's film significantly altered the characters, particularly Jack Torrance. In the novel, Jack is a flawed but ultimately sympathetic character who gradually descends into madness under the influence of the hotel. In the film, Jack Nicholson's portrayal presents Jack as already on the edge of insanity from the start, which King felt undermined the character's tragic arc. Wendy Torrance, played by Shelley Duvall in the film, was depicted as far more passive and hysterical than her counterpart in the book. King also expressed displeasure with this characterization. King felt that the Stanley Hotel, with its real-life history and eerie ambiance, was integral to the story. He believed that the hotel's unique atmosphere could not be replicated by another location or soundstage. The choice of the Timberline Lodge, though visually striking, lacked the personal connection that King had to the Stanley. King believed that the Stanley Hotel's influence on the novel was crucial, as his own unsettling experience there was the catalyst for writing The Shining. By not filming at the Stanley, Kubrick's film, in King's view, lost an important layer of authenticity and connection to the story's origins. Stephen King's disappointment with the Kubrick film led him to be vocal about his criticisms, often stating that while Kubrick's film was technically impressive, it was a poor adaptation of his novel. To reclaim his vision of the story, King later worked on a television miniseries adaptation of The Shining in 1997. This miniseries was filmed at the Stanley Hotel, which King insisted on, and adhered more closely to the plot and characterizations of his original novel. The 1997 miniseries, while more faithful to King's vision, did not achieve the same level of cultural impact or acclaim as Kubrick's film. Nonetheless, King's preference for the Stanley Hotel over the Timberline Lodge remains a point of interest for fans of both the book and the movie, and it underscores the deep connection between the author and the hotel that inspired one of his most famous works. The legacy of King's stay at the Stanley Hotel continues to resonate as both the novel and the hotel itself have become iconic in the world of horror. During the filming of Dumb and Dumber, Jim Carrey, along with other members of the cast and crew, stayed at the Stanley Hotel. Given the hotel's connection to Stephen King's The Shining, Carrey requested to stay in room 217, the same room that inspired King's famous novel. Carrey, known for his curiosity and love for unique experiences, likely chose the room because of its infamous reputation. According to various reports and stories shared by the hotel staff, Jim Carrey had a terrifying experience while staying in room 217. One night, not long after he had checked in, Carrey abruptly left the room and ran out of the hotel. He was so disturbed by whatever he encountered that he refused to return to the room and insisted on being relocated to a different hotel entirely. The exact details of what scared Carey remain unclear, as he has never publicly spoken in detail about the incident. Some stories suggest that he experienced some kind of paranormal activity, such as seeing an apparition, hearing unexplained noises, or feeling an oppressive presence in the room. Whatever happened, it was enough to cause Carey, who was at the height of his comedic career and known for his fearless and zany persona, to flee the room in a state of panic. Jim Carrey's encounter added another layer to the Stanley Hotel's haunted reputation, particularly to the lore surrounding Room 217. The room had already been infamous due to Stephen King's stay and the strange occurrences reported by other guests over the years. Carrey's experience reinforced the idea that the room is one of the most haunted spots in the hotel. Even today, guests and staff at the Stanley Hotel recount the story of Jim Carrey's stay as part of the hotel's rich history of paranormal activity. The room remains one of the most requested rooms, with many people hoping to experience something similar to what King and Carrey encountered, or perhaps hoping to avoid it altogether. So, what do you think? Is the hotel haunted or not? Would you stay, or have you ever stayed at the hotel before? Let us know in the comments. And please take a second to subscribe to the channel so we can bring you many more stories such as this one. As always, thanks for watching.